It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Look at that, man. Our own CJ Stroud is growing up right before our eyes.
That would be Sarge.
Why, yes, I do, CJ. I do have something. Welcome to the Texans Happy Hour, sponsored by the Hall Family Estates. Make sure you go to www.hallfamilyestates.com. They say you can't buy happiness, but you can buy wine, and that's pretty close to the same thing. What's going on, y'all? You're tuning into the Texas Happy Hour. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you'll follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end, because you know we do everything for the gram. Make sure you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube channel, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. Side note, hey man, I need y'all help. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by before the season starts, and I'm a long way from that right now. And I understand it has a lot to do with my schedule and what happened. I mean, there was a lot of things that happened amongst the course of these last couple of weeks, because you all know that I was coming and doing these shows regularly, and then we had there was the everything that was going on with the Rockets. My wife and I took a vacation. Did I write that down? I think I did write that down to talk about it real quickly. But we took a vacation, and then the KD trade happened. Kevin Durant got traded to the Houston Rockets from the Phoenix Suns. And it was just a lot going on. And so some of the shows had to take a step back because of the things that I was doing. I'm also into writing again. I went to Will Anderson's second annual youth football camp down in Georgia. That was at his high school, at his alma mater, where his best friend growing up and teammate is now the youngest head football coach. Kayvon Glenn is the youngest head football coach in Georgia history. And on Friday, I will be heading out to Birmingham, Alabama, because Texans wide receiver Nico Collins is holding his first annual youth football camp in his hometown. So I will be heading out to Birmingham, Alabama on Friday. The camp is on Saturday. And so one of the things that you all know that I like to do these type of things, and especially with the players, that if you invite me out, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to make it my purpose to definitely make sure I get there. And I told Will, for every year that he has the camp, I'm going to maneuver my schedule around coming to his camp. But with Nico, this one is special because it's his first one. And a lot of when Nico giving back to where he came from and everything that he's been through, it's just a lot. So as I digress, yeah, man, I need y'all help. Subscribe, like, comment, share with a friend, share with a Texans fan. You know that I'm going to give you the best content. I have been putting out exclusive content from Will Anderson Jr.'s camp. I talked to, like I said, Kayvon Glenn, talked to his parents, talked to his first rec league football coach, Coach Dwight Banks of the Riverdale Blackhawks, who got Will when he was 5 years old, and Will was playing up because Kayvon is older than Will. I think he's 2 years older than Will, so Will always played in the same age group as Kayvon. If you go to my Twitter page right now, there's an exclusive video on how Will Anderson Jr. almost didn't play football. Like there's a scenario where Will Anderson Jr. could have been in the NBA. Because if you know anything about Will Anderson Jr., you know that with his will and his determination to, one, not lose, and two, to get to whatever goal he is trying to reach. If he hadn't have played football, I'm pretty sure he would have played basketball, because they said that Coach Banks told me that he knew that Will was ready when he came back his junior year of high school. And so the first 2 years, his freshman and sophomore years in high school, he played basketball. And he was like, Will was dunking, and Kayvon told him, hey, if you could, cut like that, man, you could do that on the football field. So they convinced him to come back. And like I said on the page, the rest is history. You can look at it and you can tell, for those of you who watch Will Anderson Jr. the past 2 seasons and getting ready to watch him in year 3, but you also watched him at Alabama. And side note, it's crazy because in only 2 years, Will went from not playing football to becoming a high school All-American. Like, Will was a high school All-American. I don't know how many of you all knew that or not, but he was a high school All-American. Then he went to Alabama and was two-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year, two-time consensus All-American at Alabama. And then he was, they moved heaven and earth in order to get Will Anderson Jr. after selecting C.J. Stroud in with the second pick in the 2023 draft. We know that Will Anderson went number 3 in that draft. And uh, for those of you all who don't know, one day we'll sit down and we'll discuss what actually went into the conversation between D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio in order to get Will Anderson Jr. It's a pretty interesting one. I don't know how many people know it, and if you've heard someone talk about it. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. And if you have, I mean, hey, shoot me the link where I can hear it, so I can tell you whether or not the story is true or not. So once again, man, y'all help me get up to y'all help me get these subscriptions, man. I need that on my YouTube page. And I need that because I want to continue to give you all the best, Texans daily content from someone who is at the games, home and away. Someone who is, oh, my t-shirt looks terrible. Home and away. Someone who will be in West Virginia for the week of practice that they will be up at Greenbrier, and then leaving from Greenbrier in West Virginia, heading to Minnesota when they'll play their first, second. Give me a second. Is that the first or the second game? Now I'm confused. Hold on, I got it right here. Open practice. Oh, that's their first preseason game. So yeah, that's why I'm trying to get the subscriptions up. So once again, you're tuned into the Texans Happy Hour, sponsored by Hall Family Estates. Make sure you go to www.hallfamilyestates.com. They say you can't buy happiness, but you can buy wine, and that's pretty close to the same thing. Another thing before we get started. Y'all see what I got right here? Yeah, boy. Look at that. What did I tell y'all? Didn't I tell y'all? Oh, wait, hold on. We got a little something in here too. Hold on. But didn't I tell you all that I had something special for the supporters of the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast? For those of you all who will be out at these, they have 6 open practices, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't have water bottles for everybody, but I got water bottles for some of the people that will be out there. And you can see this is look, this is a one-time only thing. So if you get it, make sure you hold on to it, because it's a collector's item. And there won't be any more of these made. There won't be any more. So if you get one, and some of them will have some a little special on the inside. And I'm not talking about drink. I'm talking about there could be some, something monetary in a couple of those. I'm just saying. So y'all make sure y'all find me. Make sure y'all can find me out there. And hold on, what's this? Okay, make sure y'all can find me out there, and we'll get that thing going. Let me make sure I got this. All right. So the one thing that I love about quarterback, Houston Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, is he's very, very mature for his age. And the one thing that has been talked about a lot ever since he's been a Houston Texan is CJ is one of those guys that will hit the ground running, and he doesn't really make the same mistake twice. He learns. Once he learns something, he applies it. He doesn't. He doesn't waste time with it. He once he learns it, he applies it, and he puts it to application, puts it to use. And if he makes a mistake and he knows that he makes a mistake, he's willing to admit that he made a mistake. And even though his sophomore numbers wasn't the same as his rookie numbers, even though by some metrics, including his own, he wasn't up to CJ Stroud's standard as far as playing, even though the results were the same as far as winning the AFC South title, winning a AFC wild card game, and then advancing to the divisional round, which was 2 years in a row. When you look at it, right? Some people will say, well, some of the league adjusted to CJ and some of the things that he was doing, and you could blame, CJ will take the blame. You could blame some of it on former offense coordinator Bobby Slowick. You could blame some of it on former offensive line coach Chris Strausser. So there was a lot of things that went into it, but CJ will be the first one to take the blame for it. He'll be the first one to say, "Hey, this is he'll be the first one to say this is me." And so one thing that I liked and that I like and what I've seen from CJ, and the reason why the title of this is Stroud is growing up right before our eyes, is that you can see the change. After his rookie season, it looked like he just went on this media tour, and every time you turned around, you see CJ, traveling with Micah Parsons overseas. You seen him on podcasts, you seen him on streams, you seen CJ everywhere, everywhere. And every time you looked around on social media, you seen CJ somewhere. I think he did the draft, and then come and get a lot of people, a lot of fans were concerned about, hey, so is CJ what is CJ going to what is CJ going to do his second year, because he looks like he's more focused on everything else except football. Now, that's not what Sarge said, right? Those are not my comments. Those were comments that were made by Texans fans. Those were comments made by some of the local on-air media personalities, some of the people who cover CJ locally. It was like, well, he just seems like he's doing everything else. We're not seeing him working out. He's at the all-white party playing football on the beach. And with the way that his numbers changed in his sophomore year, you could see some of those people was like, see, I told you he wasn't focused on football. He wasn't focused on football. And that's far, far from the truth. Because if you know anything about CJ Stroud, if you ever been around CJ Stroud, you know that it's faith, family, football, in that order. Faith, family, football. And so there's no time where football is out of that alignment. And so just because we didn't see him doing those type of things, then and we didn't see him doing those type of things as far as looking at his workouts, or him working with a quarterback coach, or whatever the case may be, him with the wide receivers working. A lot of people figured that he wasn't focused, because every time you turned around, you seen him on doing something else out in the public at the celebrity softball game. There was that Amber Rose situation where he just gave her a ride home, and then all of a sudden that thing just blew up like it was nothing. And really, CJ was just trying to do the right thing by helping her out. But a lot of people didn't believe that CJ was focused on playing football. Well, CJ heard that. CJ seen that. CJ heard other people, saying all those things. He took it all in and he said, okay. And now, what you see from CJ Stroud right now You don't see him out everywhere. You don't see him doing a lot everywhere. And the thing is, the work ethic hasn't changed. Only thing is he's not making himself available to be seen like that. He's doing things few and far between those things that he did coming out of his rookie season. You don't see a lot of him. You don't see a lot of him on social media right now heading into to training camp. You haven't seen a lot of CJ in the offseason. And when you do see him, he's doing things. When you do see CJ out, he's doing things like this. Let me share my screen with you all. Boop boop ba doo, boop boop ba doo, boop boop ba doo. Hold on. Make sure that that's turned up. And so
Should be like a three-step drop right after that. So
he's doing things
should be
like
gonna
this.
push away from the offensive line. And really, you're trying to sell a run, so everything should look like a run. So the ball should be out. If you're pushing, I like to give like a little like drop, like I gave the ball away. And then after you give it, like the main thing you ever shoot a jump shot, like turn around, you want to snap your eyes to read the defense. And then that should be like a three-step drop right after that. So should be 5 to the fake and 3 to drop.
You're getting back middle.
You really just setting up. So like a lot of times in play action, you want to kind of set up where you're at. So say if I'm going past 18 is wide, the O line knows that. So now I'm setting up in the C gap, which is now probably like the A or B gap. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so let me stop that. So now that's when you're seeing from CJ. That's what you're seeing CJ doing a lot of helping. And shout out to Goat Farm Media for that video. I think in that same during that same time frame, he was working out with his former teammate at Ohio State, Justin Fields, but he is more focused on only showing you those type of things. And it's crazy because CJ Stroud is, hold on, let me grab my roster. How old is CJ? CJ is 23 years old, right? CJ is 23 years old. And at 23 years old, it's almost like he can't have fun because when he starts having fun, then you don't think he's focused on you don't think he's focused on playing the quarterback position, right? And then when you don't see him, now you're thinking that he's super focused, and he's always super focused. He's always super focused. And the reason why I said that he's growing up right before our eyes because he's heading into his third season, going into his second offensive system under a new offensive coordinator. He has new offensive linemen. He has new offensive linemen. He has new rookie wide receivers that he's going to be working with. He has a veteran wide receiver in Christian Kirk that he's going to be working with. And he also, you get Joe Mixon back. Of course, he still has Nico Collins, but the the totality of that offense is going to change from what CJ has done the first 2 years. And so what CJ, did this offseason was he locked in, but then he super locked in. If you go to my page, if you go to my Big Sarge Media page on YouTube, you'll see an interview that I did with D'Amico Ryans last season, a one-on-one that I did right before the season started. And he said, I asked him, hey, who's more of a football junkie? Will, CJ, or Derek Stingley Jr.? And he said, and I may have thrown a Zeus in there too, but I said, who's more of a football junkie? And he said, it was CJ. He said, because CJ is constantly sending us stuff in the group chat, constantly sending us different type of plays and things that he just learned. And when I talked to former offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, Bobby said, man, I have to tell CJ sometime, go to bed. Go to bed. Like, we can talk about this tomorrow. Go to bed, get some rest. Why are you up at this time of the night? And that was coming out of his rookie season. And so I feel like he's just more super focused now. And after watching him, even the way he handles shoulder gate, right? Even the way he handled Shouldergate. For those of you all who don't remember what Shouldergate was, it was how a lot of these media members had you in an uproar because CJ Stroud wasn't throwing during OTAs and mandatory minicamp. I think he threw at minicamp like one day, if I'm not mistaken. It was one day. Out of the 3 days, he threw one day. And then he finally addressed the media. And even at the way that he addressed the media, you could just tell that he's a different type of CJ Stroud. He has a different type of maturity level to him. He has a different type of personality to him. He's still the CJ Stroud that has fun with his teammates, but you can tell that some of that veteran leadership is definitely kicking in. It's definitely kicking in. And when you look at him talking to some of the rookies on offense, when you look at him talking to Noel, and you look at him talking, excuse me, to Higgins, and you look at him talking to Ariante Ursary, and then he's going to the veteran offensive lineman who is new to the Houston Texans. You're watching him just, and of course Christian Kirk, but you're watching him just talk to these different type of players and just trying to get on the same page. And then I think at the last day of mandatory minicamp, CJ went across the field and was talking to Kamari and talking to Kalen and talking to Will and talking to Aziz and talking to Derek Stingley Jr. He was on the opposite side of the field, and you could tell that they were chopping it up, but you could also see him being demonstrative and saying some things. And I don't know what was exactly said, but you could just see him talking, and then you could see Kalen talking, and you could see, Kamari talking. And it looks like they was just exchanging notes or whatever the case may be. But I like that. I like that. I like the fact that CJ Stroud is showing and showing his maturity, and he's leading by example. And what I mean by leading by example is because he knows what a lot of people will say, as far as if he was just out and doing what he did last offseason. He knows. He knows. I've talked to CJ entirely too much for him not to know. He hears, he sees, he knows. He knows who says what, when they say it, or whatever the case may be. But he also knows that it comes with the territory. So let's not get this thing twisted. Let's not get this thing twisted. CJ Stroud is not a player who wants to be coddled. He's not a player that wants to be babied. He's not a player that wants you to give him anything extra. Anything that he gets, he knows that he has to work for it. And he also knows that he is the quarterback of the Houston Texans. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. He also knows that everybody's looking at him as the franchise, because he is the franchise quarterback here. He also knows that basically the Houston Texans does go, especially on the offensive side of the ball, with how he plays. So he's not one of those ones that'll make excuses. He's not looking for any sympathy. He's not looking for anybody to coddle him or to baby him. He's not. That's not the type of person he is, not the type of player he is, not the type. That's not even the way that he grew up. I remember CJ told me a story when he was playing rec ball out in California. And I think that he was playing in an older group, and it was a lot going on for him. And CJ didn't want to play no more. CJ didn't want to play, didn't want to play in that rec league anymore. He just didn't. And so he went home and he told his mama, I don't want to play no more. His mama told him, we don't quit around here. We don't quit. We don't give up. Like, we can sit down and talk about the reasons why you want to, but I'm going to give you reasons why you're going to go back out there. Like, not reasons, not you have a choice. You're going to go back there. And his mother told me that one of the reasons why she did that to CJ was because she said, if I gave him an out, then he's always going to be looking for an out when times get tough, when times get rough, when he goes through things, he's going to be looking for an out. She said, so I couldn't let him, and I couldn't let him quit on himself. She said, I knew he was talented. I didn't know at the time he was going to go to the NFL or anything like that. I just knew that he was talented, and I knew that he had a work ethic inside of him, and I knew that people gravitated to his leadership style. I knew that people gravitated to him, and he couldn't walk. I couldn't let him walk away from that, because now you're walking away from your calling. And exactly what CJ is doing now is exactly what his mother envisioned. And that's why she said, you can't go anywhere. You can't leave. You're gonna stay right here. And so that's why I like what I'm seeing when it comes to CJ Stroud. I like what I'm seeing when it comes to what he's doing and what he's done this past offseason. Because it's like he said, okay, look, I was out here, and you all criticized me for that. Now I'm over here, and you all still going to criticize me for that. But by the same token, I got this. One thing that Nick Caley said that one of the things that Nick Caley said that he loves about CJ Stroud is the fact that he is well beyond his years as far as being an NFL quarterback. And that has a lot to do with what he went through growing up, what he went through at Ohio State, but what he's been through since he's been here. What he's been through since he's been with the Houston Texans, because it wasn't easy. Think about the situation in which CJ Stroud came into. They were coming off a 2-3 year run of this franchise, the Houston Texans franchise, being in the dirt. We've talked about this on numerous occasions. That franchise was in disarray. Every time I went to a practice or a game or a press conference or the locker room, it was like a black cloud hanging over, hovering over NRG or hovering over the Methodist Training Center. Like, it was bad times. And for those Texans fans who are here now that stayed the course, you all know exactly what I'm talking about. You all know that it was terrible. The morale was horrible. I ain't telling you something I heard. I'm telling you something I know. The morale around that whole Houston Texans organization was just horrible. It was bad. And when I say bad, I mean bad. It felt like even though the sun was out, it was always gloomy. It was always gloomy around there. And so now you bring in DeMeco Ryans, you draft CJ Stroud, you draft Will Anderson Jr., and you see what this franchise has to do to turn it around. And nobody really expected CJ to have the type of success that he had when he was first drafted. There was a lot of people who wanted Bryce Young here. And I'm not going to say that Bryce Young wouldn't have been good here. I don't know. I don't know what Bryce Young would have been in that system, in that Bobby Slowick system, or being coached by DeMeco Ryans. So I don't know. All I know is that when CJ came to this organization, he knew exactly what was being placed on his shoulders. It was like the weight of the Houston Texans organization rested on his shoulders as far as players are concerned. We already know that what DeMeco Ryans had to do coming in to clean up everything. But when CJ got, he's like, I know that I am looked at as the franchise quarterback, and I know what I have to do. And that's a lot of responsibility for a rookie. That's a lot of responsibility for a rookie. Even a rookie that's coming out of college that was as successful as CJ was his last two seasons at Ohio State. And then you watched him in year one, and you watched him in year two. That's why I'm excited to see exactly what he's going to do in year three. And the reason why I'm excited to see what he's going to do in year three is because what Nick Caley also said during his press conference after the mandatory minicamp, he's giving CJ more responsibility in this offense, which is the exact same thing that CJ said during his press conference. Someone asked him the question about having more responsibility, and he loves that. He loves having more responsibility. And in year three, he knows that he's ready for that type of responsibility. So that's why I say, little CJ growing up right before our eyes, y'all. He growing up right before our eyes. And I've been seeing some things, about questioning his maturity and questioning his leadership. And a lot of that comes from people who can have the access to be around him, but don't use the access to be around him. That's another story for another time. We'll talk about that at a later date. But let me tell y'all, let me tell you, someone who's around him on a consistent basis. CJ's one of those ones that don't waver. He's one of them ones that stand 10 toes down with whatever he's going to do, whatever he's going to be. And he's one of those ones where even when he can't even when he participated as far as the 7-on-7s, the 11-on-11s, and during mandatory minicamp, you could just see that the energy had changed and the energy had shifted. Something I asked Coach D'Amico Ryans about, something I asked Derek Stingley about. You could just tell that the energy shifted when CJ was out there on the field. Because look, I don't know if y'all noticed or not, CJ is one of the biggest trash talkers there is. Him and Aziz, they will talk trash to each other the entire practice. They will talk trash back and forth to each other. And Will talks a lot of trash too. Will talk a lot of trash. I know he smile a lot, but Will talks a lot of trash because he's very competitive. CJ's very competitive. Aziz is very competitive. So they do a lot of talking. Kamari doesn't do a lot of talking. He's just very demonstrative. You know when he makes a play. Oh, you know when he makes a play. So I just want to, make sure that I put that out there that CJ Stroud is growing up right before our eyes, especially heading into training camp where, on Wednesday's show, I got a chance to talk to the guys from the Texans on 3 podcast, Patton, Killer Kyle, and Frank Nitty. And one of the things I asked them about, was heading into training camp was one of the things that they wanted to see. What was the emphasis, what is some of the emphasis that's going to take that they were looking for heading into training camp, and I said mine. But a lot of another thing that I did not get an opportunity to say that I'm going to say right now, right here, is I'm looking forward to seeing CJ take that next step going into his third year. I'm looking forward to seeing how him and Nick Caley communicate with each other and how they work with each other. I want to see how, because he knows what he has in Nico Collins, but how he's going to work with Christian Kirk, something that we also seen during mandatory minicamp where, one day they were just on the same page and they was clicking like this, just clicking. And so, but yeah, and I want to see how he is going to effectively be able to work with this new offensive line that he has, which is what those guys were talking about. They, one of the biggest concerns is the offensive line, and that's the elephant in the room. Of course, everybody's concerned about what's going to happen with that offensive line. I'm ready. I'm eager to see how CJ is going to work with that offensive line. So, yeah, CJ growing up right before our own eyes. Look at that. Let me make sure that I hop into these comments right quick. DQ, what's going on? Corey B, what's going on? What does Cedric say right here? I believe 2024 was a crash course in play under pressure and will be a blessing in disguise. Hey, I can understand that too. Who is this? Abigail says mental reps of what he's learning from Kaylee this offseason. Yep. Did you also see the photos of him and his new wide receivers on the University of Toronto football field the last week of June? I did not get a chance to see that. Hey Abigail, can you go to a Big Star Sports with a Z at the end on Twitter and put that in my DM if you can find it? I would love to see the clip if you can link that to me. What up, Tay? Senior Bubbly. What's going on? Alexa! What's going on? Mike, well, he should be. He should be what, Mike? I don't understand what that means. I talk a lot, and some of the things I say You have to remind me of what I said. So I don't know what you mean by, well, he should be. He should be what? What should he be? I'm confused. Maybe you can help me out. I got a question before we get up off here. He should be. Oh, he should be maturing. Yeah, yeah. So, Mike, that's an interesting thing you say that. You're saying that CJ Stroud should be maturing. Hmm. It would seem like that would be common sense, right? But I don't know if you notice or not, Mike. I used to be a former educator. And I used to tell my fifth and sixth grade students, and I used to tell my high school students when I taught high school, but I definitely used to tell my fifth and sixth grade students, hey man, common sense ain't all that common. You would think that. You would think that people would have common sense. You'd be like, hey, that's common sense. But common sense ain't all that common. So you would think that by year 3, he should be maturing. There's some examples, Mike, that we can use about, NFL players, former NFL players who's been in the league that didn't mature. One of them used to wear number 4 for the Houston Texans. Shout out to him and his lovely bride. He just got married a couple of weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago. So, like you said, well, he should be maturing. Talking about CJ Stroud. Common sense ain't all that common. If the former quarterback that was with the Houston Texans, if number 4 would have matured, CJ Stroud wouldn't have never been here. There wouldn't have been no need to get another franchise quarterback. But common sense ain't all that common. And you would expect people to mature, but sometimes they don't. I can speak from the example of watching CJ mature because I was around Deshaun Watson and around CJ Stroud. And let me tell you this, they are 2 totally different people. 2 totally different people. And that's why I see CJ and I can say he's growing up right before our eyes. And I can say that you can see the maturity level in him. When I got an opportunity to speak with him after the press conference at the mandatory minicamp, um, and let me tell y'all some side note. I don't be saying this just so I could flex. Y'all know when I flex, I'll tell you. I will announce when I'm flexing. Hey, I'm flexing right now. When I'm flexing, I'll let you know that I'm flexing. I'm not trying to flex, but I'm just telling you all because I'm giving you firsthand knowledge. I'm giving you not knowledge. Let me take that back. I'm giving you firsthand conversations that I'm having. And this ain't no he said, she said. I'm telling you, hey, when I spoke with him, this is what he said. This is what he said when I spoke to him. This ain't, oh man, I got a chance to talk to, look at me. I'm talking to CJ Stroud. No, because this is the Texans tailgate talk. This is the Texans happy hour. This is designed for Texans fans and Texans fans only. Now, well, if some of you AFC South fans want to jump in here because going into the season, there will be other people joining me on the Texans happy hour on the Texans tailgate talk podcast from the Tennessee Titans, from the who covers the Tennessee Titans, who covers the Jacksonville Jaguars, who covers the Indianapolis Colts. There will be. But this has been designed. I put this design in place strictly for Houston Texans fans to separate it from the sports talk with Big Sarge, to separate it from the Buzzed and Petty, to give you all pretty much exclusive access to me, to you, to them. I said that right? Hey, let me know if I said that right, Alexis. To give you all the exclusive insider access to me, to them, to back to you. I don't even know if I said that right. So, Mike, as I digress, common sense ain't all that common, man. And you can't just assume that somebody is going to mature just because of the amount of years that they've been on a job. That's not just for the NFL. That's for anybody that's employed across the board. So let me hop back into some of these. I'm looking forward to seeing CJ with more control of the offense. Nick Caley has already said that that's what he's going to give him. If he the baller we think he is, he's ball. Uh-huh. I can't wait to see what CJ can do with this new system and this new offensive line. You know what, David? Me too. But so it's a twofold thing because if you follow me, right? If you follow me, make sure you do it. Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end on the app formerly known as Twitter. Follow me on at Big Sarge Media on the ticket and the talk. Make sure you follow me at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end on Instagram because we do everything for the gram. And make sure you subscribe to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube channel. All one word, Texas Tailgate Talk. You know that I'm not here to I give it to you straight. I shoot it to you straight. I'm not gonna fluff. That's not what I do. Right. And so I can't wait to see what CJ can do in this new system too. I can't. I'm just a little hesitant. And like I said on Wednesday's show, I'm just a little hesitant on what's going to come about with this offensive line. And I did a show 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I still have the notes. Look, David, I still got the notes right here. I did a show 2 weeks ago, and I said that the Texans have to hit the ground running early on offense. And we went through their first 8 games between against the Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans, the Baltimore Ravens, Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers, and the Broncos. Because I said in that first 5 games, right? In the first 5 games, the defense that they're going against is 20th in passing yards allowed. This is the defense. 20th in passing yards allowed, 29th in passing yards allowed, 32nd in passing yards allowed, second in passing yards allowed, and 31st in passing yards allowed. In run yards allowed, they're going against the 22nd ranked defense, the 4th, 25th, 26th, and by the time they get to the Ravens, which is the first, and they only give up 80.1 in the run game. But within those first games between the Rams, Bucks, and the Rams, Bucks, Jags, and Titans, you should be able to see what there should be some sort of chemistry that has been formed, and there should be, hey, look, all right, this has been the first four games. This has been the first part of the season. This is what we're going to stick with. This is what we're going to do. And if Blake Fisher isn't working out at the right tackle position, if that's where they're going to start him and start Titus Howard at the right guard, then if he's not working out, then move Titus out to the right tackle and then put somebody else, maybe Juice Scruggs or Ed Ingram at the right guard position, and then move on. If Cam Robinson isn't working out at the left tackle, maybe Blake Fisher works better at the left tackle. If Jared Patterson isn't working out at the center position, then maybe you put Juice Scruggs at the center position, and then you still have other players on the sideline like Trent Brown that could potentially give you some good snaps, some good reps on the field. You have Laken Tomlinson who could give you some good reps. You have Ladarius Henderson, who is going to be like his rookie year. You have him. And so, but you got to figure it out within the first 4 games. And so I think that CJ is going to pick that offense up very quickly. I think that there's a lot of things that Nick Caley's offense is going to bring that he's very familiar with, especially coming out of college and studying, these offenses, because I feel like it's going to be, some of New England's offense and some of the Los Angeles Rams offense mixed into Nick Caley's offense, and he's going to put his whole spin on it. But I think that CJ will be able to pick that up. But no matter how quickly he picks that up, if he doesn't have the time to execute the plays, if he doesn't have the time to be able to run Nick Caley's system, then that's where we're not going to even know, okay, so Does Nick Caley have a good system? Is Cole Popovich doing what he needs to do to get CJ the time? Because there's still that fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen because there's so many moving parts on the offensive side of the ball, and there's so many new people in the building. There's so many new people and new pieces on the offensive side of the ball. Like we just talked about the offensive line, but then you also have Nick Chubb, who will be backing up Joe Mixon. Now he has to get acclimated to playing in not only Nick Caley's system, but with his new teammates. Christian Kirk, wide receiver, he's got to get acclimated to getting on the same. He has to get acclimated to playing with those players on the offensive side of the ball, and he has to get acclimated with playing with CJ Stroud. They have to get their timing down. You got two rookies that are going to get some playing time, and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. They have to get those things down. And then you got Dalton Schultz, who's learning a new offense. You got Brevin Jordan, who's coming back off of injury, that has to get reacclimated to what the Houston Texans offense is going to do under Nick Caley. And then you got Cade Stover. You got to still realize still figure out what you're going to do with Cade Stover. You also got to find a way to put to insert Woody Marks, who I feel like is a wild card for the Houston Texans because of the way that he runs out of the backfield and because he can't catch out of the backfield. And last month, someone in the comments made a great point and said, "Can he pass block?" And that's something that we'll see here coming up when the Houston Texans start training camp on the 23rd of July. We'll see. We'll see. That will tell you. And when they get up to West Virginia, when they're away from everything and all the distractions, and it's just really just about football, I will definitely report and let you know. But there's a lot of moving parts that's going on the offensive side of the ball. And that's where I think that you're going to see the maturity and the leadership of CJ Stroud. Like, coming into your rookie year, you're like, okay, he came to his rookie year. He's still learning how to play that NFL style football. He's still learning the game. Second year, they put a lot on his plate. Bobby was coaching for his job. There's a lot of things. CJ put a lot of stress on himself as well. He put a lot of stress on himself coming into the second year because he wanted to make sure that he lived up to the billing of coming out of his rookie year. So there was a lot of things that, a lot of factors at play when it came to that. But now you look at it and now everything starts and stops with him. And what I mean with him is if the line is going to protect him, CJ is going to shred defenses. I'm going to tell you that right now. The line protects him, he's going to shred defenses. If the line doesn't protect him, I think that he's been through enough last season to know, okay, I got to learn how to maneuver. I got to learn how to get out of the pocket. I got to learn to get to the spots where I need to get to. So that's how I look at things. That's how I feel that things are gonna go, and we'll see. What did Senior Boble say? He handled not throwing Bobby under the bus very maturely. That he did. That he did. I got it right. Thank you, Alexis. Abigail says, "Photos, not video. I'll put it on your IG." Thank you so much. Texans tangents. All right, y'all, I got to get ready to get up out of here. My wife has come home. I got to go eat dinner. And I have to start packing. Because like I said at the beginning of the show, I will be heading out to Birmingham, Alabama on Friday to attend Nico Collins' first annual youth football camp in his in Birmingham. The very first one that he's doing, and that's on Saturday. But I wanted to make sure that I was there. As I told him, hey man, if you're gonna do a football camp, you need to let me know. Because you need to let me know, and I'm gonna wherever it is. He could have had it in Michigan. I'd have been there. If he'd have had it in Washington State, I'd have been there. I told him, hey man, because I support those type of things. Like what Will did with those kids for a second year, I support those type of things because growing up, I didn't have those type of things. I had that we ain't had no youth football camps, and if we did, we couldn't afford to go to them, and we didn't know when no free ones was. So I didn't know. I mean, I would have loved to do it, but growing up in a single parent household, that's how that thing works. Y'all make sure I'm gonna have during the practices, there's gonna be limited. These are limited edition. Okay, these water bottles are limited editions. Once they gone, they gone. They gone. They are. They gone. Ooh, burn the chest. Woo! All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Texas Happy Hour sponsored by Hall Family Estates. Go to www.hallfamilyestates.com. Make sure that they say you can't buy happiness, but you can buy wine, and that's pretty close to the same thing. Yeah. You know what? Before I get up out of here, let me say this. Two things, right? Let me make an announcement. One, guess what Sarge got? Sarge got a call-in line. Yeah. Yep, sippy cup ones, of course. Yeah, I have a call-in line now. So starting next week, y'all gonna be able to call into the show. I got a call-in number. I got a call-in line. I'm gonna put it up on my on all my social media platforms. But I got it done, y'all. I told y'all I'd get it done, and I got it done. So I will be able, some of you all will be able to call in and have your voices heard right through here. We'll talk right through here. For those of you all who are not in Texas and you want to call in and talk, and you may not, want to be able to may not want to have your comments read, but you just want to have your voice heard. Big Sarge got a call in line. Yep. Second thing before I get up out of here is I got a new show coming out, y'all. Yeah, it's called Mute It Up. Hey, mute it up. Mute it up. And one of the first people that I'm going to talk about, this show is going to be exclusively for TikTok, though. It's only going to be on TikTok. Mute it up. And yeah, I'm calling in talking crazy. Don't worry. Hey, hold on. Mike say calling in talking crazy. Don't worry. I got a hang up button too, Mike. You do realize that, right? I got a drop button. Goodbye. Caller, you on there. Hey, Sarge. Click. Next. But I got a show, a TikTok exclusive show that's coming out called Mute It Up. What I mean by mute it up, that means that when I see something crazy, hey, mute it up for a second, man. Just stop talking. I don't want to hear it because what you're saying is asinine. And on the first show, I've definitely got to talk about Robert Griffin III. Hey, Robert Griffin III, mute it up, bro. Mute it up. And then I'm going to give my take on these asinine comments that Robert Griffin has been making about Angel Reese. It's really stupid. I doubt he even watches the WNBA. I I doubt. I bet you if I say, "Hey, who does Ryan Howard play for?" He gonna be like, "Who?" All right, don't worry about it. Like, name me 3 players off the Golden State Valkyrie. Oh, but yet you want to continuously talk about the WNBA. Mute it up. You know what else? Hey, I'm also on one of those shows. Mute it up. I am so tired of hearing about Justin Herbert. What the hell has Justin Herbert done to deserve all this praise and accolades that he gets? Was I the only one that watched Justin Herbert play in the playoff game last season against the Houston Texans? Didn't he have 4-5 turnovers? How many turnovers did Justin Herbert have? They made Justin Herbert look like he was supposed to be playing for Houston Community College. Like if Lone Star College had a football team, Justin Herbert would have been on it by the way that he played in that playoff game. If do they have I know that if you're a homeschool, you can go play for the school that you're zoned to, but do they have a homeschool league? Because if they got a homeschool league, then the way Justin Herbert played in that playoff game, that's where it should be. But where in the hell does all this praise come from for Justin Herbert when he ain't done nothing? And then you give him all these passes and excuses for why he's never gotten it done. Hey, what's you know who Justin Herbert is? Phillip Rivers without all the babies. That's all he is. Phillip Rivers without all the babies. Without all the kids. Justin Herbert is that. So all y'all out there talking about, hey man, Justin Herbert is blah, blah, blah. Mute it up. Mute it up. Mute it up. Stop it. Let me talk for a second. Excuse me, but let young Pippin brag for. Oh my God. On that note, it is time for me to go. Oh, you know what? You're right, Senior Boble. It is Houston City College now. Just like they changed Houston Baptist to Houston Christian University. Yeah. Justin Herbert is a low-value Trevor Lawrence. Thank you, Tay. I don't know why they keep giving this guy so. Hey man, Justin Herbert. Yeah, I watched him live and in person get destroyed by the Houston Texans defense. Oh, well, he didn't have this and he didn't have that. I don't want to hear that. I don't give excuses to these other quarterbacks, so stop giving it to Justin Herbert. Hold on, one more thing. And Trevor Lawrence beat him in the playoffs. That part. All right, y'all. You've been tuning to the Texans Happy Hour, sponsored by Hall Family Estates. Make sure you'll follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. Make sure you're subscribed to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube channel, all one word, Texas Tailgate Talk. I'm trying to get them subscriptions up. Please help me out. Help me out. Trying to get those subscriptions up. And make sure you go to www.bigsargemedia.com and read my latest article about the evolution of Will Anderson Jr. That is a new article that was just put out on Wednesday. I would love for you all to read it and give me your feedback on it. I think that you will like seeing what I learned about Will Anderson Jr. away from the field, away from the hustle and grind of playing in the NFL, playing defensive end for the Houston Texans. There's another you get a chance to see how Will evolve from a 5-year-old to heading into his 3rd year in the NFL. You'll get a chance to hear from his high school teammate and one of his best friends who hit him so hard when he was younger that he knocked snot out of his nose. You'll hear his first head coach for the Riverdale Blackhawks, Coach Banks, talk about how Will wasn't getting it at first because he was, one, he was the youngest player on the team, but 2, they had to learn to slow down his motor. And so, because he goes a mile a minute, they want to pull him back and get him to the point where they could connect the dots. And then you'll hear from his family, his dad talking about how he ran up and down the sidelines, talking to Will from the stands, walking up and down there, constantly talking to Will, and how his mom says that year 3, she named it evolution. And so please go to WW Hill Country Herbert. Go to www.bigsargemedia.com. I put up an exclusive video on my social media platforms where one thing that I told you all last night was, hey, Will Anderson almost wasn't NFL player Will Anderson. He could have been NBA player Will Anderson. But go find out why he's not. Big Sarge, I'm out. Big Sarge.